newest destination spot with sparkling waterways and a familiar skyline, the Capitals plan to shine in the Emerald City. A very pleasant welcome to our studio. Along with Craig Laughlin, I'm Joe Beninati. Locker, the Caps have been racking up victories thanks in part to some terrific defensive performances. In the Volkswagen game notes, I'm going to ask you, what's the critical element to them being so stingy?
Well, it starts with the execution of the system laid out by the coaches. And number two, it's a lot of heart and a lot of hustle. And when you look at these numbers, we all know the Caps can score. They're riding a 7-game point streak. The goals allowed, penalty kills, shots allowed, and block shots of what has impressed me in a big time. When you're only allowing 10 goals in those 7 games, you're going to win the games that they are. They allow less than 30 shots at 27.1, second best, and there has been a lot of sacrifice with a ton of blocks in front of their netminders.
Buttoned up indeed. Just when you think Alex Ovechkin is in a cold spell, he fires up the heat. The grade 8 put up 3 more points last night in San Jose. It was another empty netter that would seal the deal and send us into a stare down with Seattle next. Geico. Saving you money on car insurance has been in Geico's playbook for 85 years. Visit geico.com today to see all the ways you can save. By Iron Bow. Visit them at ironbow.com. And by your local Washington area Honda dealers. When you want to get more, then it has to be a Honda. Don't settle for less. Visit your local Honda dealer today. Time for the Caps and Kraken to make a first impression on each other. A couple of squads that don't mind a nice finish around the net. Expect this meeting to shine a light on the best scorer in the game. Straight ahead next. In Seattle, Washington, it's the Caps and the Kraken for the first time ever, and for the first time in the Washington lineup, Dennis Cholowski. Locker, these lineups for Washington remain very fluid. We understand no TJ Oshie tonight, nor Connor Sherry for that matter.
And because of that 11-7 for Laviolette in this last game of this long extended road trip.
On ice officials, the referees are Justin St. Pierre and Trevor Hansen. Ryan Galloway and Kyle Murchison will call the lines. Washington finishing up the 4-game road swing. Yanni Gourde is arm in arm there with Faravari. Look out. Schwartz there with a step up as Gourde swings from the corner. Lausanne's long-range slapper punched away by Vitek Vanacek, who was claimed by the Kraken in the expansion draft off the Washington roster.
Spent about a week with them in their lineup before they were reacquired from the Washington Capitals. They picked them right back up after they went out and signed Philip Grubauer on a long-term deal.
Ovechkin a long way from the cage with a snapshot that was blocked by Yarncroke. If you missed Caps pregame live, shame on you first and foremost, but Alexa Landestoy had a conversation with Vitek about those strange proceedings, and he admitted he almost shipped his car out west.
That would have been a problem. That would have been problematic for sure.
Excuse me, fellas, can you take it back? Into the second minute of this opening period, a twisting drive from Washington's Nick Dowd that clangs to the corner. Washington coming in at 11-2-5. Old friend Marcus Johansson there, 90 in the blue sweater.
The Caps going in the right direction, the Kraken going in the wrong direction. They've lost 6 straight, and the Caps have picked up points in 7 straight. Let's hope the Caps finish off this long road trip with a win tonight.
Head coach Dave Hackstall's D pairings at the top of the screen. It's been a defensively challenged squad so far in this young season. Cholowski getting his first touch with Schultz. They'll play for Van Riemsdyk to scuttle in. Axel Janssen-Fialbi there, hammered by Soucy. As we are just now approaching the 2-minute mark. 0-0 inside Climate Pledge Arena.
And our first look at Cholowski, he was pinching right down. He's worked hard off the ice and on the ice to get his opportunity. He gets it tonight.
Tanev crossing over from wing to wing there. Van Riemsdyk scuttles it ahead for McMichael. Connor McMichael on a chip and chase. Susie with the long reach, able to make that poke check.
Well, for the guys in white, you're going to have an early wake-up because this is a team that will wake you up because they take the body, they play a physical, hard brand. They just have been shooting themselves in the foot, game in, game out. Because of that, a very poor record.
Our friends at Sport Radar remind us that Seattle is in the top 8 when it comes to hits per game. Vitek Vanacek slowing the play down, getting a stoppage here, 2:24 into the contest.
Vitek with a couple of games off for Laviolette because Sammy took over and back-to-back shutouts. 20th season as a head coach. 684 wins. He gets one tonight and he'll move past the great Pat Quinn.
Off the draw, Kraken have to regroup through center. Morgan Geekie, formerly of the Carolina Hurricanes. Caps will get their first look at Carolina next weekend. Top team in the Metro. Stepping in, Donato fires, and it was Vanacek getting a little sliver of that on the way by.
That's a tough first save to make for Vanacek, but he held his ground and took it off that left shoulder. Nicely done.
Geekie plays it topside to Giordano. Cross rink on a backhand stuff. Vanacek made a great pad save.
And then the net, I think, was knocked off its moorings. Alexiak and company are going to try to attack early against the Caps. They're trying to get back into their winning ways. A good transition by the Kraken, and here's that good shot. A real good looking tight by Donato. And then thrown to the net, you see the backdoor play of Alexiak. He's a big rig defenseman that loves to get in on the play. And what a stop there with the left leg of Alexiak backhand by Vitek Vanacek.
Vanacek's save percentage in the first period this season among the league leaders at 94.2. He had 28 stops in the OT loss on this trip at Anaheim back on Tuesday night. Kuznetsov and Gord to draw. Gord excused from the faceoff dot. Kuznetsov had a rough one last evening. Faceoffs in San Jose. He lost 13 of 17. Schwartz, former St. Louis Blue. Jaden Schwartz drops it on back. Gord's relay was cuffed aside. Dmitry Orlov with Alex Ovechkin attempting to clear. The second effort will get the job done. Wilson off to the Washington captain. Ovechkin hits the brakes. Skims it into the corner. Alex off of a 3-point performance last night. 2 goals and a helper for Ovechkin, now 29 points in his first 18 games. Great setup here. Score! Wilson jams it home.
Bad turnover by the Seattle Kraken down to the left to Grubauer. Grubauer, I don't think has even seen a shot yet, and this one just whizzes right back past him. A lot of Capitals fans in attendance. They're just cheering on the Caps here on the Seattle Kraken's home turf. Watch the turnover here. Down low, the D gets pressured by Kuzi. A real nice job against Lausanne, who we knew a lot of, seeing him last year for the Boston Bruins, especially in the playoffs. And that is some good-looking shot. And I love the fact that when Kuzi's in there, Wilson retreats to be the third man high. Then he just steps in, and timing was everything to beat Gord to the punch and to get that pass beautifully laid on a platter from Evgeny Kuznetsov.
A half a dozen goals now for Tom Wilson, 5 of them at even strength. You see his point total top of the screen. Washington on the board at 334. Taking the jump on the Kraken. Kuznetsov gets the primary assist as Grubauer gets back into his goal crease. Closing in. Schultz lets it fly. That's deflected. Centering pass from Dowd, smothered by Grubauer, and he will hang on. Blocker, this Toyota Star Trek. It sets the goalies straight for you tonight.
Yeah, well, Vitek gets the nod from Laviolette. He's lost just twice in regulation. His numbers are 4-2 and 4, 2.39, 9-11. And Philip Grubauer, this is not a misprint here. He's 4-8 and 1. That's fine. But his GAA and save percentage are one of the worst numbers in the National Hockey League. Phillips having a real tough start with the Kraken.
Folks who see Seattle a lot say they are surprised at how disorganized the Kraken have been in the defensive zone. We saw a miscue there from Lausanne lead to the strike. Kuznetsov creating the turnover, Wilson with a put away.
And you wouldn't have thought that might have been the problem because Ron Francis went heavy into the expansion draft with a lot of defensemen. That was his first priority. And then he went to free agency. I thought they were going to be decent defensively, but they have not been, as you mentioned, Joby.
We've just crossed the 4-minute mark. 1-0 for Washington. Tom Wilson on the board with his 6th. 5-on-5 play. Eberle, who's been the best offensive talent for Seattle. We're 7 in the blue. Working with Johansson and Wenberg, a pair of Swedes. There's Marcus, up close and personal with McMichael and Cholowski. Cholowski making his first appearance with the Caps tonight. Working it on the outside, Alexiak finds Johansson. Snapshot on the way, a stick save for Vanacek. If you're joining us a little late, no Oshie, no Sherry in the lineup tonight for the Caps. They've dressed a 7th defenseman. Eberle lets this one go off the toe of his stick and wide. Van Riemsdyk covering up there. Schultz sees this one bounce for Janssen Fialbi. As he sprints back, Alexiak steps up, and this will turn out to be icing against Washington.
I'm glad Janssen Fialbi stopped at center. He would have been drilled by big Alexiak, 6'7". He was a 14th pick overall back in the day, signed to a big contract with Seattle, one of the leaders on this hockey team.
6 seasons in Dallas' system, 3 more in Pittsburgh, and now Seattle, the 3rd different team with which he's worked for the 28-year-old Toronto native.
They're rotating the assistant captains. Eberle was just on the screen with Larson, Schwartz, and Gord. The captain is Giordano.
This is the 6th of 7 games today and tonight around the NHL. Garnet Hathaway checking out. Hathaway, who's been going along very nicely for Washington. Van Riemsdyk subs back in. Trevor's been playing the wing early in this game tonight. Off of that call, the official said, no change allowed. Get back out there, Trevor. This is another icing against Washington. Still no change.
The big adjustment for TVR is simply taking those pucks on the dasher like that one rimmed around. He's always going to probably think defense first, but he's got a big enough body and he's fast enough. And he seems to be a very type, we call him in the past, the Swiss Army knife type of player. I don't think he's going to have a big adjustment even going to the wing.
See the helpers that he's racked up. 2nd best among Washington's blue liners. McMichael on the draw there. Connor won 8 of 11 an evening ago. We mentioned how Kuznetsov struggled. McMichael flourished as Schultz gathers in away from Marcus Johansson to clear. Nicely fenced out of the air. Seattle still in business at the offensive end of the rink. Johansson on the feed. Set it for Eberle. Feed to Dunn. He whiffed on the slapper. Didn't get a lot of mustard on that at all. As Schultz will clean house and wire this all the way back. It's going to be icing against Washington.
And the TVR line caught in their own zone here for an extended period of time. They need to get a change here against Zeus and company because they've been putting on some good heat. Good walk of the line there by the D. They get it down low. And this trio is pretty good. I mean, when you have JoJo out there, you have guys like Eberle, they can throw the pill around. That miscue by Dunn, he doesn't miss too many slappers like that. It's been sort of the story of the year with Seattle.
Changing his stick at the bench. Schultz lobs this one through center.
It's always a stick's fault or your skate's fault when you do that.
Good craftsman, never blames his tools. Schwartz fires off the blocker of Vanacek. Washington still not able to free the zone just yet. Gord over skates. Schultz is there with Yarncroke. Cholowski pedals it around the board. Sprong up in arms. Alexiak pinching in, taking the dasher away. Washington on the board first, a 1-0 advantage. Wilson from Kuznetsov at 3:34. Schwartz looking topside. Giordano keeping it on the perimeter with Yanni Gord. Cup winner with Tampa Bay. Off the dasher. Schwartz turns. All about possession here for Seattle. Alexiak drops it south of the goal line. Gord trying to make a sneak attack there. Stick checked by Hathaway.
Yeah, they're having a real tough time, but they are taking care of home plate. Long shifts for Cholowski in particular over 3 minutes. That's going to burn his legs big time.
Nearing the 7-minute mark of this opening frame. Tanev. No surprise that he's up there in hits for Seattle. Kuznetsov drops it into the Kraken zone. It doesn't spend much time there if Alexiak gets his wish. Donskoy swooping as they use this control breakout against Washington's very stout, stingy neutral zone D.
That's been the big reason why they're probably only allowing less than 1.5 the last 7 games in this win streak and point streak. It's because of their buttoned up play in the neutral zone, preventing teams with any speed.
Vanacek makes the save. This Washington team, 3rd best in the league when it comes to team goals against average. And they have a 1-0 advantage in this contest. Wilson, no mistake from point-blank range into the open arms of the captain. Seattle, Washington inside Climate Pledge Arena. Fans saluting with the arena lit in lavender. Washington and Seattle for the first time. Time for some drive-by, drive-through the Pacific Northwest. Taco Bell takeaway from the Kraken.
And it's all about shots allowed. That's first in the National Hockey League. They allow about 26 a game. The Capitals are in second. And I don't understand that stat. The team's save percentage, they don't allow a lot of shots, but they're only stopping 85% of them. That's 32nd between Drieger and Grubauer. That's been an ongoing concern. They're not getting big stops from either our goaltenders, but last game, Grubauer, 14 of 17 against his former team. Drieger, he allowed 4 goals on 13 shots against the Avalanche.
Drieger's coming back off of a knee injury. He made the start against the Avs and gave up 4 on 13. Grubauer mopped up in what was at one time a 7-0 advantage for Colorado. Backhand chance here. Grubauer makes the stop there. Rebounds loose. Another backhand from Dowd that didn't get through. Work it back to point position. Jensen spots Orlov. Rister on the way. Stopped. Rebound there. The doorstep for Hagelin. He chopped it wide.
Hagelin, a couple of good looks there. First the deflection, and that one trying to chop it home. Just couldn't get it to go against Grubauer. Grubauer under siege there. That's the type of play the Capitals must continue with. Get it in their zone and work over their D.
Mentioned that there were 6 other games going on today and tonight as Hagelin skies this into the Kraken zone. The Rangers win a thriller at Madison Square Garden. They've won 5 straight at MSG. Lindgren scores the game winner with 1 second left to beat Buffalo. To the corner we go. Wilson trying to reverse it. That was snared. Stuff attempt. Vanacek was waiting down on the butterfly as Marcus Johansson is guarded by Yevgeny Kuznetsov.
When Marcus is healthy, he's a very good player, but the last several seasons, he just hasn't had the health to put together the type of resume that you'd expect from him. He was great with when he was with the Caps. He logged a lot of minutes, put up big points, but since then, he's struggled staying healthy.
Johansson, 2-time 20-goal scorer with Washington, missed 11 games due to injury, as Locker is mentioning already this season. Ovechkin guarded by Giordano. Gord on a takeaway to Yarncroke. Calle Yarncroke leaving it in the lurch. Ovechkin will snare and wind it up for Washington as we near the midway mark of the opening period. 1 goal on the board. It belongs to the guys in white. Wilson cashing in at 3:34 from Kuznetsov. Elsewhere around the NHL, Tampa wins in a shootout. They down Minnesota 5-4. Steven Stamkos had the only goal in the skills competition. Dunn looking to clear. Kept at the line. Nice look for Sprong. He sent that one to the cage. Grubauer got a little chunk with the blocker. They jammed for it back behind the goal. Protas was there for Washington. Big number 59 who picked up his first NHL point an evening ago in San Jose.
He's playing well for sure.
Schwartz on the feed. Bang, bang! And it is Vanacek popping that one out of the air, somehow rejecting Gord. Just past the halfway mark of the period. We'll get you back to Seattle right after these messages. Seattle a long way from home, and they have Vitek Vanacek playing extremely well in the first 10 minutes. A great chance just a few moments ago for Yanni Gord.
Right center of the screen. Yanni Gord goes hard to the net, throws a puck, and right off the left toe of Vitek. It looked like it was probably going to be jammed wide, but Vitek kicks out that left leg, gets it at the crux of the skate and the pad, and kicks it right into his catching mitt. The goalies for the Caps are on point right now.
Vanacek, native of the Czech Republic, in his 7th season in North America, looking to his left to watch this draw. McMichael against Geeky. Face-off win for Seattle. Alexiak lets it go through the screen. Vanacek with a stop and a very quick cover-up.
Yeah, good play by Alexiak, getting that puck to the net. A lot of traffic around the net, trying to create a problem. Geeky in particular is one guy that has a nose for the net and always involved. Hathaway just gives him a little rock there in front of the net. Good win on the draw, goes to the wall, goes to the point, goes high, and then they crash the net. When you're not scoring, you've got to simplify your offensive game. Geeky just about tied this game up.
The Washington team going along nicely, picking up a point in each of its last 7. Mentioned the overall record at 11-2-5. Geekie hounded by McMichael, and Connor's away. Connor McMichael flying in, pulls a trigger. Kick out, save by Grubauer.
Looked like it sort of rolled on him at the last second, and it left the heel and the curve of his stick, and didn't get all, I don't think, that he wanted on that shot on a semi-breakaway.
That's rare with McMichael, because he has a reputation, Craig, of being such a fine finisher, a pinpoint shooter. Sending it out wide for Trevor Van Riemsdyk, who's playing the wing. If you are joining us a little late, some 10+ minutes into this contest, the Capitals scratching TJ Oshie and Connor Sherry. Oshie, that has to be a disappointment for him coming back to this area.
Yeah, he was supposed to have a lot of family and a lot of friends from his youth hockey days coming to the arena, to Climate Pledge Arena, to visit with him and to watch him play, and they're not going to get that tonight.
Leaving Matt Irwin as the lone healthy scratch. Leeson has been brought back in from the American Hockey League, and we understand Garrett Pilon has been reassigned to the Hershey Bears as Faravari fires, armed at by Grubauer.
The Bears won this afternoon, 4-2 over Charlotte. Snively stays hot. He's got 15 games, and he's got 13 points. He had a 6th goal today.
Way to go, Joe. Schwartz chips it loose. Stuff attempt for Gord. Schwartz again had it blocked. Ovechkin on his backhand serves it along for John Carlson. Through center, the Caps will dump in. Kuznetsov there at the top of the forecheck. Shade over 8 minutes with which to work in this first stanza. Soucy for Dunn. Dunn leaves it on the wall. It's chipped back into the Washington zone. Orlov's going to outlast Wenberg to it. Dimitri playing catch with Dowd on the clearing attempt. Jensen, a headman through Hagelin. Orlov looking for the trailer. Skips it back behind Grubauer's net. 1-0 Washington thanks to Tom Wilson. Leeson there, forcing Eberle to reverse. Soucy goes right back into that same fray, and it's chipped out nicely. Eberle takes it on the run 2-on-2. On the crisscross with Johansson, Marcus didn't get a stick on that redirect. Johansson at his feet, twirls it down low. Wenberg, fellow Swede, plays it on top. Bring it this way for Alexiak. His wrister tumbles to the corner boards. Eberle working the cycle. Jensen there to short circuit it. Nick for Washington. Nice keep in by Giordano. Eberle closing to the slot there. It gets away from Johansson. Giordano fires again. Rejected by Vanacek.
The Caps look like they've lost their legs here in this particular shift. Too much time spent in their own zone defending, and they haven't been able to clear the biscuit. That part of the game, you failed to clear consistently. The puck's going to find the back of the net. It doesn't matter who's between the pipes.
Orlov with one hand on his blade, forced there by Donskoy. At point position, Sprong gets in the act. Alexiak has a lot of room to walk in and fire. Had it blocked. Vanacek scurries over to the post trying to cover, and without his blocker, he does cover with a glove, but he's looking at that bare right hand.
Yeah, might have got smacked by a stick there. What a great play by Sprong. He's the guy that really snuffs out Alexiak. There's a long-range shot from Giordano, deflected wide. They kept a lot of heat on. The net presence has been tough, but the defensive play of the period right there. Spronger even broke his stick in half, it looked like, but he still got a piece of Alexiak, which prevented him from walking downtown and tying this game up.
A few befuddled looks on the faces of the Kraken players. Alexiak, and prior to him, Gord, who had a great chance. It's a 1-0 Washington lead as we continue to play at even and full strength. There have not been any power plays in this opening period. On the go, Vanacek going to leave for Cholowski. Dennis Cholowski, 23-year-old, native of British Columbia. Not so far from home here in Seattle, Washington, as we get a whistle on the entry. Chance for us to take a TV timeout. 5:59 to go in the opening period. Grubauer and Lausanne entertaining the Caps. On the nesting doll, isn't that perfect?
Yes.
That time of year, Caps fans, holiday packs now available. You get 2 tickets at 2 games, plus the Alex Ovechkin nesting doll. For more info on how to get your holiday pack, Visit washcaps.com/holiday pack. Joe Beninati, Craig Laughlin with you from our NBC Sports Washington studios just past the bottom of the hour. A shout out of thanks to all the men and women on the tech level here in DC. It's been a long and late week full of work for them. We are greatly appreciative. McMichael to take the draw with Wenberg in this 1-0 game. Caps again, as they did an evening ago, getting on the board swiftly in the first period. This time, Wilson from Kuznetsov at 3:34.
And Hackstall really playing his top line a ton. Every time there's a stoppage of play, he's just about throwing Wenberg, Johansson, and Eberle over the board to try to create some offense. They've had good zone time because of that, rewarding him. For Mojo, 501 games played for the Caps, 290 points in his career, now part of Hackstall's club in Seattle.
There's Dave Hackstall, formerly the head coach in Philadelphia. Prior to that, tremendous success at the University of North Dakota.
Yeah, NCAA tournament in each of his 11 seasons and 7 Frozen Fours as a college coach.
7 times out of 11. That's not bad.
Not bad.
Closing in, Carlson, he had Ovechkin there. It was blocked. That pass was deflected by Lausanne. There's a penalty call coming up. It's against Washington. First minor of the game going against the white-jerseyed Caps. As we get the touch-up here, Schwartz gets into a bear hug with Wilson.
Well, they know Wilson's club is going to get a penalty. I thought it was Kuznetsov down behind the net, so they're trying to stir the pot to try to get a little retaliation from the Kraken to maybe even it up. It's going to be a holding call, the first minor penalty of this hockey game, and the Kraken will go to their first power play.
Referee Trevor Hansen making the assessment.
And it was down to the left of Grubauer in the corner on the breakout as they started to exit. Here's the left arm of Kuznetsov. Just a little spin on Gord's shoulder. Sort of a cheapie, but because he spun him, he goes to the penalty box, and Gord takes the brunt of Tom Wilson right at the sin bin area.
Kuznetsov has a seat. Eberle, Donskoy out there for Seattle. Power play numbers that are powered by Hydro. Good read by Nick Dowd. He'll deflect it and chase Giordano back into the Kraken zone. 5 and change separating us from Integrate Intermission Live. Alexa Landestoy and Alan May will join you for that between periods. Washington on the PK, very good in the month of November, 92%. Jensen hurriedly to the corner with help from Van Riemsdyk. Chipped along for Hagelin, and he'll send Seattle packing.
And Seattle hasn't been bad on the power play. That's been sort of a positive, especially in their last 3 games, going 4 for their last 9.
Waiting here, Eberle, #1 point scorer for this team. Former Islander, plays to Wenberg, gets away from a double team. Giordano will switch the point of attack. Johansson for Giordano straight away, fires, deflected, and Vanacek stayed with it.
He sure did. And just an innocent-looking wrist shot from Giordano, who's very good at maneuvering at the blue line. He's very good laterally, and his mobility allows him to find a shooting lane. Kick back by Mojo. There's that little pivot and shot, and it goes right off 2 guys. It looked like Wilson and then in front Carlson, and you're right, Joe. Did he ever stay with that? He had to have his eyes glued to the shot from the point and followed it all the way in.
Goalie terminology, they always talk about tracking. That's super important right there. Vanacek gets over to stuff Schwartz. Geeky bothered by Hagelin as the power play continues for Seattle. Another 48 seconds. Dunn. Snapshot here. Shuffling over was Vanacek. That was a buzz bomb that went off the glass. On top, Dunn off the head fake. Geeky at the half board. Feed it down low. Schwartz tried to stuff it. Backhand chance. Score! On the put away, McCann.
Been a nice find for him, Seattle Kraken. He's a nice pickup. I mean, he's been doing a little bit of everything for their hockey team. And just a crazy amount of pucks bouncing in front of the net, and he finally got a hold of one after they were blocked. Look at the bodies in front, and the shot goes down to Schwartz, who redirects it in front, goes off Vanacek right to McCann, and there's the backhand, and it's deflected on the way. Looked like Dowd got a piece of it. Here's the backhand, and there's a stick coming in. It's either Dowd or the man in front. Sure looked like Dowd, not Donato. Here comes the shot coming right now, and it's definitely redirected right there. A crazy redirect that foils the Capitals netminder.
At 15:58. Should it stand for McCann, it would be his 7th goal, Locker, 4 of them via the power play.
And I saw Donato talking to him, so it could also go his way.
Well, you did see that crazy short-range deflection. Ovechkin snaps this one. That's deflected out of play.
That would have been a nice response right off the ensuing face-off to come down and get their lead back. This Kraken team really struggles. I wanted the Caps to leave this period up because they're at 0-9, trailing after one of the Kraken.
Locker, I think you would agree, though, they've had the better of the play, especially the last 10 minutes.
I think so. The Caps have been too much in their own zone.
Right off the draw here, Ovechkin fires. It's shrugged at by Grubauer after it was deflected by the defenders. Back to full strength. Ovechkin's relay gobbled up in front. The defense of Adam Larson, big man back through center, number 6 in the blue. Dmitry Orlov will punch it along the boards. Yarncroke plays it on back towards the cage, deflected down. Vicek tried to poke check that, and it squirts loose. Washington rumbling with it. Wilson, who has the Caps goal, was being hogtied by Lauzon. The Caps will get a power play here.
Yeah, interference call. It's easy because Tom kept his feet moving. He indirected the puck to himself, and Lauzon got in his lane. That's fine to be in your lane, but now you put your paws on him, you put your stick on him, you're going to the box. And Lauzon coughed the puck up on the Wilson goal. Now he takes a penalty against Wilson. He'll be in the box, and the power play will go to work. There's a chip indirect. Everything's fine if he stays in the lane. Once he puts up his hand, definite interference preventing Wilson to track the puck.
That Seattle power play goal putting an end to a nice run for Washington. The Caps had a clean PK sheet for 8 straight games prior to tonight. But just a few moments ago, McCann from Schwartz and Geekie at 15:58. As the Caps look to respond, these power play numbers are powered by Hydro. Washington getting on the board last night with the PPG, compliments of Alex Ovechkin. Power play goal number 272 for the Grade 8.
And I think that was his first one-timer from his office that dented the twine this season. That was hard to believe.
Just his 2nd power play goal of his 14 on the year. Kuznetsov plays it on back. Ovechkin one time. That drifts off of a defender. Carlson bluffs the reload slapper. Kuznetsov and Ovechkin dangling on the perimeter. Kuznetsov wants to crisscross, closes. Snapper had it blocked by Soucy. Wenberg failed to clear. 2:23 left in the period. 1:17 on the man advantage. Bumping inside Wilson, rejected by Grubauer. Tom Wilson back in the bumper position with no TJ Oshie tonight.
That was a real good stop by Gruby. He was square to the shooter and picked that up. He's seen that a time or two before in his days with Washington. The very similar setup.
McMichael sweeps it around the boards. That power play goal from Ovechkin last night snapped a 1-for-17 skid for the Caps on the power play. Turnover. Ovechkin fires, padded down by Grubauer. Sprong was looking for a tip-in try as the Kraken clear.
Capitals got to keep up that hunger around the paint. They're diving. They're trying to get to loose pucks. That was Spronger trying to jam one home.
Schultz drives through center. Justin Schultz on the wing for Sprong. As Grubauer gives the marching orders, Oleksiak finds Donskoy with 90 seconds in the period. Little give and go with Gord. Gord right on in. Snapped it high. No finish there again for Yanni Gord.
2-on-1, nicely executed against Schultz, but they couldn't bury it at the end of the line, and that's just sort of been the story. Gord gets a ton of chances and will continue to get them. He's a very gifted player for Seattle.
Cholowski through the seam. Snapshot was fanned on by Dowd as Seattle clears it just as Lauzon is leaving the sin bin. This is an icing against the Kraken.
Capitals didn't get really any traction going on their first power play. They had one good look, a couple of them blocked in front of the net. Ovi tried to hammer one past their netminder, his former teammate and Stanley Cup winner, and Grubauer. But Ovi even in warm-up, when we were able to watch warm-up, the fans along the glass were crazy. And one lucky fan that had a sign that said, "I love Ovi," with a heart, immediately over there to give him his warm-up stick.
Wherever he goes, he's the Pied Piper, Alex Ovechkin. Caps fans, we are in the McNugget Minute. A free 6-piece McNugget with a minimum $1 purchase if the Caps score in the last minute of any regulation period. That's available only on the McDonald's app the very next day. Sunday night in Seattle for Washington. A 6 p.m. local start in the Pacific Northwest. Capitals will spend the night in Seattle. They'll come all the way back home tomorrow. As Hagelin waits on the wall, he fires. That's a stick save for Grubauer.
And there's a Swiss Army knife working with Cholowski is TVR. So he's played wing and defense for the Caps here in the first period.
Leeson scuttles this back into the Seattle zone. Leeson with goals at Tampa Bay and against Philadelphia, 49 in the white. On the move, Wenberg with 20 ticks separating us from Integrate Intermission Live. Schwartz rolls it back behind the Washington goal. Eberle pinched along the boards. Schwartz emerging with it, coughed it up. Janssen Fialbi, 5 ticks left. Carlson knows he can venture up ice, fires, and it's a pad save. Grubauer jumping at the top of the crease to keep this 1-1 after 1.
Yeah, what a save that was by Gruby with his right pad. Another opportunity for the Caps. A pretty even Steven period. I thought maybe the Kraken had a little more zone time than the Caps did. The Caps have to refine their legs that they had for the first 5 minutes of the game.
Washington and Seattle, 1/3 of the way through regulation tonight with the NHL on NBC Sports Washington. The Caps getting on the board first. Seattle responds with a power play strike. 1-1 after 20. Integrate Intermission Live. From one studio to the next, Alexa Landestoy and Alan May. After 20. Integrate Intermission Live. From one studio to the next, Alexa Landestoy and Alan May.
Integrate Intermission Live.
The Capitals strike early, but the Kraken respond, making it all tied up at the end of 1. That's Alan May. I'm Alexa Landestoy. This is Capitals Integrate Intermission Live. And the big news, right at game time, no Connor Sherry. We knew no TJ Oshie. Cholowski in for the first game with the Capitals. Then we're seeing TVR playing a little winger for the Caps. I mean, what is going on right now?
It's a jigsaw puzzle. Every single night it feels like there's so many rookies in the lineup, and then you add, take Connor Sherry, who was fantastic last night, actually excellent this entire road trip. And then all of a sudden, you've got 7 defensemen, and there. Cholowski, who knows what was going on with him when he was told today, but he certainly didn't expect to be in and probably found out just after warm-up.
Well, Tom Wilson got the scoring going tonight. He is standing by in Seattle. And, Tom, you obviously lit the lamp early. The Kraken responded. What do you guys need to do in the second to regain the lead here?
Yeah, they're playing hard. It's a great building. It's fun to be here to check it out, and we just got to answer. We got to come back with the next one, and the next goal is going to be big.
And Tom, you've only had to deal with expansion one other time in your career. That was that first time you guys went into Las Vegas, and that was after a back-to-back. Here you go after a back-to-back, a short turnaround. How much different is it to be in a brand new arena like that? I know they've got all different players that have never played together, but when your surroundings are so different, how tough is it to acclimate?
Yeah, I mean, I remember going into Vegas. It's like you couldn't hear anything, you couldn't breathe for the first 10 minutes. And falling back on a little bit of that experience, we knew they were going to come out hard in this building. They're playing well. They got a lot of energy. They got a lot of guys that are out to prove themselves, and they're starting to play as a group. So we got to take care of our business. We got to execute a little better on our end, and hopefully we come out successful.
Well, Tom, as the team tweeted out, you are now the franchise's all-time leading scorer against the Kraken. Hopefully that changes as you guys add a few more. Tom, thank you so much for the time.
Yeah, that won't stand up for long. Thanks, guys.
Well, it's time now for us to take a look at those goals in our Geico highlights. We just spoke to Tom Wilson. He got the scoring going in this game. You had Evgeny Kuznetsov working behind the nets, trying to get the puck back. Tom Wilson then with the sniper to give the Capitals a 1-0.
Yeah, all types of confusion by the Kraken in their own end. An excellent forecheck and angle by Evgeny Kuznetsov. 6 on the puck, shovels out to Wilson, who comes in and just snipes a great shot.
Well, later on, the Kraken on the power play, Geekie gets it over in front of the net. So many players working. Schwartz was there, and then McCann finds the loose puck. It may have been deflected, but gets it by Van.
Yeah, you know, this is one of the plays I want to see the Caps utilize a little bit more. Go down to the low man near the net like Schwartz and just try to put it into the pad somehow and then converge on the net. Great goal by McCann. Excellent backhand.
Yeah, it seemed like the Kraken were really knocking on the door late in that period. Hopefully the Capitals can regain some of that momentum. Well, coming up next, we're going to take a look at some of those saves from Vitek Vanacek. He was tested quite a bit. We're going to take a closer look at his game so far next. How that first period looked by the numbers and our accurate game stats, shots on goal in favor of the Kraken, also those scoring chances. And Alan, I think that shifted into their favor halfway through towards the end of that first period.
Yeah, you know, one of the things the Caps, I think, have to do the rest of this period, the hits aren't enough for me. They've been very physical on this road trip. You don't have to play everyone the same. But this is a team that, you know, they work hard. They don't create a lot of offense. I think you have to make it tougher and tougher for them to get the puck up the ice, and you want to have more time in the Kraken zone.
They had the hits last game. Hopefully they can get things going here in the next 40. Well, let's dive into our Thompson Creek window of opportunity and take a closer look at Vitek Vanacek during that first 20.
Yeah, Vitek, it seemed like there was a barrage against him, and going pad. You know, one of the things he does best is, you know, the way he keeps his eye on that puck and keeps those pads flat against the ice. He's only let in one beneath the pad. This one right here, what an excellent toe save. It looked like it may have been going wide, but doesn't matter to me. That was still a great reaction time, and his reactions were on like exactly how they needed to be all period, because there was always traffic, there was always a commotion in front of him, and he just doesn't get rattled.
Yeah, off the toe, that was an incredible save. Definitely highlight reel. You think he's trying to show out in front of his, in quotes, former team tonight, the Seattle Kraken?
I don't think he really cares. He just wants to get the W.
As you mentioned, nothing made it to Seattle. It was all Capitals, and we are very thankful he is here playing well so far for this Capitals squad. Well, coming up next, we're going to talk about what we need to see from the Capitals during the second period to regain the lead.
Sports Washington coverage of Capitals hockey is being brought to you by Toyota. It's time to go Toyota with legendary safety and reliability. Toyota, let's go places. By MGM National Harbor. Monumental happens here at MGM National Harbor. And brought to you by Comcast Business. Powering possibilities.
Welcome back. The question is, Alan, would you put your gum on that wall in Seattle?
I wouldn't even go near it. We're like 2 blocks of that thing.
Well, let's take a look at our live lines with odds powered by PointsBet. Right now, we are tied up at 1 after the first period. Let's take a look at the win probability. Right now, the Capitals at 52%. Alan, what do you want to see from the Capitals?
I think they just need to slow the game down and make sure they make it a lot more physical in the middle of the ice. And I think their offense can take care of itself.
And hopefully the Capitals can do that. Well, we are all tied up. We'll get you back to Joe Beninati and Craig Laughlin just after this.
This holiday season, your local accurate deal
Or other use of this broadcast without the express written permission of the National Hockey League is prohibited. This NBC Sports Washington coverage of Capitals hockey tonight is being brought to you by IT Cadre. Innovation, transformation. IT Cadre, your vision, our purpose. By Jiffy Lube Service Centers. Keep your car road ready. And visit JiffyLubeDC.com for locations. And tonight's Caps game is brought to you by Choice Hotels and Operation Homefront. Locker, get your grunge on in Seattle, Washington.
All your bands, right? Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Nirvana, Alice in Chains, Foo Fighters,
Look at you.
and Heart.
Look at you.
Yeah.
1-1 Caps and Kraken.
I know what you groove to at
after
home,
20.
buddy, in Tyson's Court. I can hear it the odd time. We had Annapolis.
Thank you, Tom Wilson, for scoring. Burkert Herbert Bank once again donating $100 for every Caps goal scored to a deserving local nonprofit organization. This season, it's Grand Involved. Fairfax, Virginia-based organization. They place volunteers in local Title I elementary schools. They're great with reading and math, material prep, library service, mentoring, and we all know that the volunteers are a huge help after a year of virtual schooling. The Caps and Kraken are back to work in the second period with the NHL on NBC Sports Washington. Joe Beninati, Craig Laughlin with you. first and only visit for Washington to Seattle this season. The Kraken will come to D.C. in early March of 2022. Gord, who had a couple of really good chances in the opening period, it's placed back to the point where Larson sends it down low. Schwartz challenged and finished by Faravari, who lost his balance. Schwartz stopping and starting. Karlsson gets the jump on Yanni Gord. Rolls this one out. Ovechkin will bump it as the Caps look to clear the zone. Still having some issues. Yarncroke, former Nashville Predator. Faravari spins for Karlsson. John Karlsson going along nicely. Points in 4 straight. Points in 9 of his last 11. Seattle here at home in the blue. Lost to Colorado back on Friday in this building 7-3.
They've lost 4 straight in their home building, Climate Pledge Arena, and they've not had any good success here.
I know what they're going to be doing Thanksgiving Day as Marcus Johansson works back through center. Just a short trip from Seattle to Tampa. That will basically take care of Turkey Day. Leeson towards the goal for Washington. Brett Leeson back in for the American Hockey League's Hershey Bears. Yeah, Garrett Pilon's been reassigned to the AHL. There's a penalty call coming up. Washington playing tonight without Connor Sherry and without TJ Oshie.
And it's going to be Wenberg, I think, going for the hooking minor in the neutral zone. The Caps will go to their second power play of this hockey game. He gets tied up with a cap right outside the blue. And there's a tripping call by the referee. And the Caps go to an early power play. A lot of booing in the stands. Here's Dowd pick it up, and here comes Wenberg. Looked like he lost an edge in my mind, but the Caps will take the power play. Why not?
Quizzical look on the face of Alex Wenberg.
And now I understand the booing. I'm not sure that is definitely in my book not a penalty.
Capitals this season locked just 10% on the road on the power play. Kuznetsov at the half wall. Surveying the defense. John Karlsson finds an Ovechkin blast. That's off the outside of the cage. Big rebound for Yanni Gord. Stoking it past the Washington captain and back to center. 2 minutes clear in period 2. These power play numbers that are powered by Hydro. Ovechkin finds Wilson. Wilson turns for Karlsson. Keep it on the exterior to Kuznetsov. John Karlsson waiting at the point, shaded by Yanni Gord. Kuznetsov looking through the seam. Ovechkin got a toe out of the way. Alex Ovechkin, better shooting lane, zips the pass to Kuznetsov. Karlsson fires that fluttered wide. Protas is out there, big body who can set some screens. Alexei Protas south of the goal line.
That's usually Connor Sherry's spot on this first power play.
Karlsson, a look-away pass for Ovechkin halfway through the man advantage. Play it off the end wall. Kuznetsov on his backhand. Yevgeny Kuznetsov, Washington's second leading scorer. Topside Karlsson around the horn. Here it comes! Grubauer, the glove save on Ovechkin.
A real good look for Alex. He got that baby away in a hurry. Great puck possession by the Caps on the power play. Some nice, crisp passing. They entered the zone under control. They set it up. They had a set of weary penalty killers on the ice against Ovi, who was trying to click the go-ahead goal there. A real good shot and even better stop by Grubauer.
See all the shots on goal Ovechkin has put on cage during power plays this season. A league best. He's second best overall to Winnipeg's Kyle Connor in shots. Ovechkin has led the league in shots 11 different times in his wonderful career. 44 seconds left in the man advantage. Tanev with a takeaway. Brandon Tanev cruising in one-on-one. Pulls up on Karlsson. Drills one right to the pads of Vanacek.
He has tremendous speed. You got to beware of him when he's on the penalty kill. His time in Pittsburgh, I think he grew as a penalty killer. He'd get a lot of good looks and scoring chances playing with the Penguins last season.
Locker, we know Seattle's giving up a lot of goals in this expansion season. They are just 62% on the PK in the month of November. 15 more seconds for Wenberg to endure in the sin bin. Ovechkin's been out there the whole time. Karlsson winds and drives. Knocked away by the blocker of Grubauer. Alex twirls it on around for Kuznetsov, waiting for it on the wall. Flushed out there by Dunn. As Seattle's back to full strength. 1-1 hockey game. The 2 goals in the opening period. Wilson for Washington. McCann with a PPG for the homestanding Kraken. Grubauer checking over his shoulder. He was hearing McMichael drawing near. Marcus Johansson revving it up through center. Eberle takes it off the dasher. Shots on goal, Seattle by 2. Giordano around the wall, Eberle. Away from 2 Caps, Dunn. Slap it down low. Off the curve comes Johansson. Keeps the cycle humming to Wenberg. Muzzled by McMichael. Centering pass that was blocked. Wenberg feeds it up top. Giordano lets it go. Shot that one wide on purpose. Orlov knew it was coming, and he'll hoist it back out.
That was a very good cycle. You don't see that type of cycle too often. You're able to usually break it. The Capitals couldn't, but they did keep everything to the outside, but that line can really cycle with the best of them.
What do you want from your sportsbook? The best odds? Same game parlays you can boost for even more? You want to live your bet life.
Thank you, Mr. Breeze. It was Alexa Landestoy who told us during Integrate Intermission Live the Caps have a 52% chance of winning now in this 1-1 hockey game. Almost 5 minutes clear in the second. Tanev looks to split the seam. He comes away with a puck. He rolls it off the outside of the goal. Donskoy's pass comes to the point for Lausanne. The former Boston Bruin slings it at the net. Tanev off the zigzag away from Nick Jensen. Stuff attempt here in the backhand was shoveled high by Donskoy. Slick pass to the interior. McCann's bid was blocked. Washington will force Seattle back to neutral ice. McCann will send it in. We mentioned Washington comes all the way home tomorrow. They have a date with the Montreal Canadiens on Wednesday.
And the Canadiens coming off a win that they desperately needed. Unhappy fans in Montreal and management. They downed the Nashville Predators Saturday night 6-3.
In other games this evening, Toronto blanks the New York Islanders at the Islanders' new barn.
That's 2 in a row for the Isles, losing in their new building, USB.
Dunn fires. That hit Dowd in front, stung him a bit. Geekie comes away with a puck. Forced down the wall by Jensen. Penalty call coming up. It's against Washington.
And that's against number 3. Jensen gets caught down low behind the net.
Delayed call against the Caps. Seattle still in possession. Blackwell on the feed for Dunn. For Blackwell now, stepping in. High tip play. Follow-up score. Jammed home by Schwartz.
They were buzzing. With the goalie on the bench, Grubauer, 6-on-5. They move the puck around, a high tip, and they jam it home. And Schwartz was jolly on the spot to put that home. Schwartz has been a goal scorer in his career, 4-time 20-goal guy. He signed a 5-year, $5.5 million deal. The QB is done. Rotates it. Now they've sort of set it up like a power play, and off the far side you see Schwartz, left side of the screen. Gets a double ricochet, and that's the luck they've been looking for. They get a break there on a bang-bang ricochet off 2 different skates, and it goes right to the hands of Schwartz, who buries it past the left pad.
Blackwell off Soucy to Schwartz for his 4th of the season. 6:17 the time of the tally. Kraken get their first lead on the night. Schwartz, throughout his time in the NHL, has fared pretty well against Washington, as you can tell, top of the screen. 6.5 minutes down in the middle stanza. Washington in come from behind mode, finishing up a 4-game West Coast road swing. Lost to Anaheim in overtime, blanked LA and San Jose, and finishing up with the Kraken. Carlson takes that aerial pass, looking for Kuznetsov.
And the fans not too happy because there was a huge kabong in their zone. Tom Wilson ran over Lausanne.
Yanni Gourde to the front. Score! Larson makes it 3-1.
The legs and energy have left the Caps. You can just see it now going in the favor of the Kraken. The D joining the attack, getting up in the play. They're getting a break, moving up the ice. 43 seconds after Schwartz had scored 6-on-5. Here comes Larson, and he makes no mistake. That is one heck of a shot for the guy that puts it top shelf. One point in his career, he was traded for Taylor Hall. And then he's back here now, first year in Seattle. Nice shot.
Larson, 5 years in Jersey, 5 in Edmonton. First time here, obviously, with Seattle in its expansion season. For Larson, he turned 29 last week. The third time he's ever scored against the Caps. 3 unanswered now for Seattle. It's a 3-1 advantage. They're having fun inside of Climate Pledge Arena. They're happy whenever they hear that Washington State Ferry horn.
And Lithium by Nirvana is their goal song. So a double whammy by that big horn and Nirvana.
Larson with his first of the campaign. Van Riemsdyk and the Caps trailing by 2. We'll have you back after this. Pledge Arena. Seattle has taken a 3-1 lead in this hockey game, nearing the midway mark of regulation. Time for us to dive into some PenFed trivia for you. Who holds the record for most goals in a season by a player in an expansion team's first season? And that is since the expansion of 67.
It's going to be hard, buddy. I don't have a clue right now.
Okay, so when you say clue, I
You
don't think
have one?
I have a clue, but I don't have the answer for sure. I have 4 guys written down, and I don't think I'm right on any of them. I really, truly don't. Johansson to draw against McMichael. Most recently, when you think of the Vegas Golden Knights joining the NHL a few years back, William Karlsson went nuts. He had 43 that
You're
season.
right. Yep.
So you can consider him, but I'm not sure that that's the answer. This will come all the way down and be icing against Seattle in its first season.
Yep. 17,100 is the capacity of this building, costing $1.2 billion. The first event in the building was October 22nd. Coldplay had the concert that was sold out.
They did quite an overhaul here, didn't they? 2 big screens aloft from the roof. Faravari caught in between there, and Eberle worked back to center. This is a delayed offside now whistled against Washington.
Face-off will come out right outside their bench. Tom Wilson on the board for the Caps, the only guy to beat his former teammate Grubauer. He's got his 6th of the season. Dave Hackstall, in his coaching career in college, he had future NHLers, 34 future NHLers that have played close to 9,000 games combined. That is a hockey hotbed with North Dakota.
Gord excused from the face-off dot. Caps top line out there, left to right, Ovechkin, Kuznetsov, and Wilson. Trying to slice into this Seattle advantage. Goals from the Kraken in succession. McCann, Schwartz, and Larson. McCann on the power play. Schwartz on a delayed penalty call, 6-on-5 pulled goalie goal. And then Larson just 43 seconds after that, as the Kraken are whistled for icing.
Yeah, things are slowing down here in the second period after they get the lead. They've iced the puck several times. Ovi and company trying to get back into the flow. Gord has had some good looks, has had their D overall, as Hackstall chit-chats with the assistant coach.
Axel Janssen-Fialbi poking it back, then firing himself wide of Grubauer. Jensen's drives right on, and Grubauer had the angle there.
I love that set play off the face-off. They worked those plays in practice. That one was worked to a T. Excellent stop by Grubauer on the long-range shot from Janssen-Fialbi.
Hathaway muscling up in the corner. Garnet Hathaway threw a bunch of hits last night, 9 of them against the Sharks.
He was involved with Yarncroke, trying to get some energy into his team.
Fans appreciative of the work from Grubauer with a Gru chance.
Yep, his jersey sells more than anybody in Kraken Town in Seattle. Everybody loves it.
Kraken Town.
They love his jersey, and they're sticking with him. Second most highest selling jersey is Tanev's. Interesting.
You going for a nickname change already for Seattle? Kraken Town?
Kraken Town.
Emerald City, Rain City. It rains a lot there, I know that. Timber Town. Lots of logging. Vanacek Gonna cover up
you
here
ever been
against
there?
Donskoy. I have. I've been
I've never been
I've
there.
been to Seattle twice
And
for
what'd you
college
think of it?
football. Loved it. Loved it. Really did.
Loved it.
Amazingly beautiful place.
Downtown where the rink is, close
yeah.
to there?
Oh, yeah.
Very cool. Never been there. Would like to go, though.
And Locker, the best wild salmon you will ever eat.
Oh, I'm a salmon lover, buddy.
The best wild salmon you will ever
Not
taste.
as good as I catch up in north in Canada.
Well, I'll reserve.
And put on a cedar plank on a barbecue. No, Joe. There's
will-
nothing better than that.
I will reserve judgment.
All right.
That pass is behind Donskoy. Alexiak didn't keep it in. Almost 9 minutes into the second period now. Schultz sends it on around. That's 38 in the white. Dennis Cholowski making his Capitals debut. Cholowski, who would have been acquired by Washington off waivers from this Seattle squad. Seattle chose Dennis in the expansion draft from the Detroit team. Long stretch. Sprong pivots away from Dunn. On around to Carl Hagelin. Washington minus TJ Oshie and Connor Sherry. Long-term injuries to Nicholas Backstrom and Anthony Mantha. Lars Eller remains in COVID protocol. Working it to the top, the wrister from Faravari. Around the boards to Hagelin. Caps trying to play some keep away here. Work a five-man cycle. Protas bothered and intercepted there by Dunn. Dunn will backtrack.
But excellent work by the Capitals D. In particular, Faravari keeping pucks alive. They had them hemmed in. The importance of pinching on those type of plays. You know they're fatigued. It's a long change period. You got to keep the heat on. Didn't come to fruition that they get a quality chance, but good job by Carlson and Faravari.
Icing call against Seattle nearly halfway through regulation time now. Kraken have lost their first four against the Metro Division, 0-3-1. Washington a mark of 2-0-2 against teams that reside in the Pacific with Seattle.
I think they came into this season hoping they were going to be the 17-18 Vegas Golden Knights, Joe.
Well, the Golden Knights set the bar extremely high.
Yeah, they did.
In their expansion year, going all the way to the Stanley Cup final before falling to the Caps in 2018. That is an unreasonable expectation for an expansion squad. Donato working down the flank, son of a former NHLer.
Teddy, a college coach.
This is his boy Ryan wearing 9 in the blue. Foot race here, no icing. Janssen Fialbi with a good hustle, Dowd there to support. Larson, who's the last man on the score sheet for Seattle. His first goal of the season. Marcus Johansson working wide. As soon as Marcus went to, New Jersey, he said, I'm Johansson now. All righty, JoJo, have it your way.
And what I didn't realize, he's played for 6 different teams.
Yeah.
I would never have thought that, Joe, and I had trouble thinking of who they were. 6 different teams for him now.
Boston, Buffalo, Minnesota, Seattle, Jersey on there, as well as Washington. Schultz towards the cage, patted down by Grubauer. Ovechkin twists it back for Kuznetsov. 9 minutes to go in the period. Capitals dressing 7 defenders tonight. Eberle throttled there by Van Riemsdyk. He gets it back for Washington. Schultz, quick up. Tape to tape with Wilson. Smoked by Lausanne.
Now we know he plays that physical style, and I think maybe the Boston Bruins miss his physicality this season. The way he played against the Caps, I thought he was very good in the playoffs last year.
Wilson and Schultz stacking up on Schwartz. Kuznetsov's headman pass through center for Ovechkin. Board to board. Schultz dodging a traffic jam there as Giordano was locked up with Wilson and the linesman.
What's he doing stepping up as a 37-year-old?
Giordano, 8 years the captain of the Calgary Flames in the past. Van Riemsdyk overskating this. Yarncroke with a takeaway. Put it on top for Alexiak. Yanni Gourde is next. Bracketed by Protas and Schultz. Giordano sweeps one down low. Little hide-and-seek game for Schwartz. Jaden looking for a passing lane. 5-on-5 continues. 3-1 Kraken. Donskoy elevates that pass neatly. Alexiak keeps it humming, but Protas makes the take back. Sends it away for Axel Janssen Fialbi. In a pushing and shoving match with Tanev. On the backhand here, McMichael spoiled by the sliding Giordano.
Yeah, that was perfect timing by the veteran captain, Giordano. They had a 2-on-1 in front, but Michael couldn't get the puck to the open man.
McCann, who's tallied tonight, his a power play goal towards the tail end of the opening period. McCann has it, drops it off. Stepping in, Blackwell fires, kick out save from Vanacek. McMichael rattled at center by Blackwell, the hitting intensifying. We mentioned Seattle among the top 8 in the league in terms of hits per game. Soucy on the drop pass, Donato on the toe drag. Trailing, it's Blackwell right up the gut. That was blocked by Protas.
And don't think that was discussed by the coaching staff to play physical against the Caps because they're weary. They've been on the road 7 games and 11 nights. They knew that was going to be part of their thing going into this hockey game, part of their strategy to wear down the guys in white.
Locker, that's really hard to fathom. 7 games, 11 nights with all this travel, and it's offside against Washington here. We need a timeout. So do the guys in white. Trailing Seattle by 2 on the road. Have you back in a moment. In the second, 2 of them coming 43 seconds apart to grab the lead. As we get you to our Hyundai Assist leaders, Locker, these are the top blue line feeders in the business right now.
Most assists, Victor Hedman and Adam Fox are tied at 14 apiece. Carlson and Seth Jones round out our top 4, brought to you by Hyundai.
Inside of Climate Pledge Arena. Washington this season on the road, really good, 6-1-2, helping them to this 11-2-5 mark. Seattle just 9 points on their plate with a mark of 4-12-1. Odd that neither of these teams, Washington or Seattle, has gone to a shootout this season. Seattle's only gone to overtime once. Intercepting, taking away Schwartz, leaves it ahead. Yarncroke 2-on-2. Yarncroke on the cutback move, fires, top shelf.
That is some cutback by Yarncroke. He froze the D, he froze the goaltender, but it all started at the far blue line, and they had an odd man break coming up the ice. They had good speed on the turnover. Here they try to go D to D, it's intercepted. Beautiful play by Schwartz. Now Yarncroke with Schwartz going to the net, gets around the defender, moving laterally. Watch back here. It's the move right there on Cholowski. He's caught flat-footed as Yarncroke attacks him. He then moves to the right, and that's when he makes everything go wrong. The goaltender has a tough time to pick up the angle, and he puts it top shelf. It's 4-1 Seattle.
Larson scored his first with the Kraken. Yarncroke gets his first with Seattle. It's 4 unanswered and a 4-1 lead. Alexiak keeping it on the boards for Eberle. He'll toss this back onto the Washington side of center. 5:58 remaining in the middle period. One that has been dominated by the home team. Giordano feels the sting of a Nick Dowd forecheck. This will trickle back to center where Hagelin staves off the advances of Wenberg. Orlov taken to the dasher by Eberle as Jensen comes in there to help. Nick Jensen for Washington spots Brett Leeson through center. Leeson steps on the accelerator as he was bumped by Alexiak. Along the wall, punched ahead. Alexiak takes it for Seattle. Off the boots of McCann, that would have been offside. Axel Janssen-Fialbi leaves it for John Carlson. Janssen-Fialbi and Protas each looking for their first NHL markers. At point position, bring it on around. Carlson towards the cage, stopped by Grubauer. Both of those rookies, in fact, did turn on the light during this road trip, and their goals were overturned by review. 4-1. I wish we could overturn a few of Seattle's goals.
Yes.
Bumming because they have the Oshie sweaters on. TJ's not able to play tonight, and the Caps are down by 3. As we remind you that Xfinity Mobile delivers fast nationwide 5G on the most reliable network. Save on your wireless bill with Xfinity Mobile. Joe Beninati, Craig Laughlin with you on NBC Sports Washington. Looking forward to seeing the Caps as they return home tomorrow on a flight. They'll have a couple days to get set for the Montreal Canadiens at Capital One Arena on Wednesday. Still plenty of time with which to work in regulation in this game, and the knowledge that Seattle does allow the most goals in the NHL, but right now the Kraken have been far better in this contest. A 4-1 leader looking for more. McCann was denied. Dunn spots McCann for a one-timer. He yanked it high.
He couldn't believe it.
Seattle swarming all over the place. Hey, Seattle swarm. No. We've already named them the Kraken. I got it. Through center. Away from Hathaway and whistled out of play with 4:15 to go in period 2.
Yeah, good opportunities once again for Seattle. They have been flying in the second period. It's all Tanev there, a wipeout by Faravari. Gets the puck, finds McCann coming late. The reason that's open was because of a hard net drive in front of the net, and that created problems. You have a guy like Donskoy who's big, he goes hard to the net. Little things like that open up lanes, and another quality opportunity.
McCann and the Kraken lock shooting 50% this period, 3 goals on just 6 shots. They have turned it up to a 4-1 advantage with 4 minutes to play, even in full strength in the second. Golfed at by Orlov. And as we move it away, a whistle comes.
Looked like the puck got up into the meshing and down again, so it's a high stick. It'll come back to the zone along the wall there. I think it hit the mesh, so it comes back to the Caps district in front of Vitek.
There's Dave Hackstall mentioning TJ Oshie in North Dakota. Those guys would have worked together. Hackstall, of course, would have coached TJ in college.
Absolutely. It's a hockey player factory for sure. Much like, looks like Michigan is this year with all those first rounders playing for that team.
Hackstall as a player was the captain at North Dakota at one time. Hagelin puts this softly below the goal line for Leeson. Jensen stepping in from the point, rattles it off of Grubauer. Taken away by Alexiak. Big defender wants to reverse the flow. Giordano gets it in gear for Johansson. Marcus plopping this one into the corner, making the Caps work the full length of the rink. Orlov speeds through center. Dmitry Orlov, nice send into Wilson. Tied up with Lauzon. Lauzon's been out there a lot when 43's been on the ice.
He really has. That duel that's been out against a lot, the Ovechkin, Kuznetsov, and when Willie's with them, it's been Alexiak and Lauzon trying to slow that trio down.
Schwartz plays it up top. Schwartz already with 2 assists. He's picked up NHL point number 400 in the process as well, as Wilson looks to clear. 3 minutes to go in the frame. Kicked ahead for Yarncroke. Calle Yarncroke, the last man on the board. 4 tallies tonight for Seattle. 4 different goal scorers. Kuznetsov had an assist on Washington's lone strike via Tom Wilson. It started the scoring in this one. With speed, Blackwell trying to run by Faravari. We get a whistle with 2.5 to go in the second.
Yeah, they've been flying. Gord, guys like that have been just wheeling and dealing up the ice. Blackwell can really fly. Did not play in the preseason, but he's picked it up since he got back into the lineup. He's a guy that came over from the Rangers and had a career year and then signed with Seattle.
Blackwell, a team-high 4 shots in that losing effort to Colorado back on Friday. Washington playing last night in San Jose. In Locker, we were told they were able to fly out of San Jose to Seattle.
No curfew last night?
There have been times where there's that noise ordinance that doesn't allow you to fly out of there. You and I have been on trips before where there's a rather lengthy bus ride to Oakland to get out of town.
Correct.
That was not the case last night. The Capitals, as is their custom when in back-to-back situations, do not have a morning skate. So as we were arriving at the studio, we were starting to learn about TJ Oshie's availability. And then suddenly, right before airtime, thankfully, the crew in the studio, pregame live, Alexa, Alan, and Brent said, hey, by the way, Sherry's not playing tonight either. Appreciate the help. Hathaway deals this one down low. 1 minute and 40 seconds away from Integrate Intermission Live right now. McCann, slick little toe drag through center. Bump it back. Giordano fires. Gloved by Vanacek. He'll hold.
Old-fashioned wrister there by the captain. Giordano lets her fly. Good attack with 4 guys passing the puck.
You can see Seattle's having fun right now. A lot of combination plays and drop passes.
For sure. Here they are entering the zone. Notice 2 Caps caught up way at the other end, so it's a 4-on-2. So they're finding late, guys. The Caps are dog-tired now here in the latter stages of the second period. Just didn't have the zip for the last 30 minutes or so. The first 10, they came out okay, got that lead, but since then, Seattle's controlled the pace of this hockey game.
Giordano, a Norris Trophy winner with the Flames, has been cool offensively lately. No points in the last 5.
Pretty cool to win the Norris as a 35-year-old defenseman like he did.
That doesn't happen every day.
Nope.
Orlov sends it down low. 70 seconds left in the period. Dowd, move it quickly. Schultz fires, blocked by Alexiak, who stepped in the shooting lane. Dowd away from Giordano. Leeson trying to rake it free. 4 players in the scrum, as you can tell. On the hop in the McNugget minute. Wenberg to the outside. Send it down low. Orlov scoops it ahead. Played through center and back into the Washington zone with 40 ticks left. Dmitry Orlov powering into this rush. A long pass off target. Grubauer leaves for Lausanne. Sprong getting in there for Washington. Lausanne bothered by Carlson. Good pinch, well timed. 20 seconds left. Larson locking up Sprong. Sprong on the backhand feed, chip it to the front. Knocked aside by the Kraken defense. Yanni Gourde plays it ahead. Final 8 seconds in the period. Larson on the retreat. 4 seconds to go now. A very, very solid second period for the Kraken. Enthusiastically, the faithful inside a Climate Pledge Arena salute. It's 4-1 through 40.
Yeah, they threw around the pill. They had their legs going. The Capitals did not have an answer for them. The only guy to strike is that big fella, Tom Wilson, early in the first. Other than that, in the second period, Seattle carried the play.
Caps will huddle up inside their dressing room, see if they can figure it out with 20 minutes to go in regulation time. Alex Ovechkin making a visit along with Vitek Vanacek to the Pacific Northwest. Integrate Intermission Live begins right now with Alexa Landestoy and Alan May. Pacific Northwest. Integrate Intermission Live begins right now with Alexa Landestoy and Alan May.
Integrate Intermission Live.
3 goals from the Kraken during that second period, and we are now 4-1 at the end of 2. That's Alan Mam, Alexa Landestoy. This is Capitals Integrate Intermission Live. And Alan, during the start of that period, just didn't look like the Capitals had their legs, maybe showing that they're on the back-to-back.
Well, I think the biggest thing right now is that they needed to play a slower game tonight, and the Kraken came out and they wanted to skate. The Capitals didn't do enough to slow them down, and they're feeding off of their crowd right now. Once they got their goals, they were off to the races, and the Caps were on their heels the entire period. A lot of players making plays with the puck that they don't normally make, players getting caught out of position in places that they don't normally get caught. So it's kind of all unfolded here and unraveled on them in the second period. And now it just seems like the young guys are the only guys getting on the ice.
Yeah, you can tell the crowd is electric right now as they are having fun out there on the ice watching their Kraken compete. Well, let's take a look at our Geico highlights. Hate this when it's always the other team's goals, but we got to take a look at what the Kraken did during this period. Here they are working the puck in the O-zone. Blackwell gets it over through traffic. Schwartz ends up finding this one backdoor, gets it by Vanacek.
Yeah, and Christian Soucy, a great redirect, and it goes backdoor to Jaden Schwartz, who's having a great game with 3 points right now. And a little while later, Yanni Gourde goes flying up the wall. Tom Wilson can't get there. He's exhausted, and Adam Larson gets his first goal ever as a Seattle Kraken. And what a nice goal that was. Top shelf, one touch, and just goes over the glove and the shoulder of Vitek Vanacek.
Yeah, and then for the hat trick of goals for the Kraken, Schwartz gets it off the turnover. Yarncrook takes it himself, saying, I got this one, gets it by Vanacek to make it 3 goals during the second period.
Yeah, and I feel for Cholowski. You know, he finds out in warm-up or after warm-up that he's going to play this game. Has a tough pass to his deep partner there, then gets schooled a little bit on the play. Yarncrook, first ever goal. He's got 2 points tonight. Both our first 2 points, his first assist, his first goal as a Kraken.
Yeah, tough. You just want Cholowski to shake that one off?
Absolutely. You know, it's so tough for these guys to play last-minute scratches like that. And here he is. What are we, how many games are we into this now? 18, 19 games in, he gets his first taste of hockey, and it's in a back-to-back on the road, and his team looks very tired.
A tough period. The Capitals got to hang strong as they want to close this one out in the third period. We're going to preview that, say what the Capitals need to do. That's coming up just after this. Accurate game stats. The Kraken outshooting the Capitals during that second period 9-5, and Allen 6-3 high danger chances in favor of the Kraken so far in this one.
Yeah, 7-2 chances just in regular chances. So the Capitals getting worked in every aspect of the game right now.
Whew, we are burdening the fans right now with all the numbers we're bringing to them right now. Well, let's take a look at our live lines with odds powered by PointsBet. The Capitals now trailing by 3 goals heading into the third period. I can't imagine their win probability is looking too pretty right now. Let's take a look. Yep, at 6%. The over-under set at 7.5 goals. Right now, they are at 5. But, Alan, what do you hope to see from the Capitals in this third period? Obviously, a huge hole to dig themselves out of right now.
They've got to simplify their game and slow down the pace of the Kraken. At the same time, trying to chip in with some offense and just keep it simple. But they can't play reckless. They've got to manage that puck very, very well. They got to be very careful. Kraken are flying right now.
And we saw Vanacek making some saves. What is the message for him in net as well right now?
Well, if he comes out, it's just continue to just stick with it, because there's been high danger, point-blank shots on him. It feels like left and right. He's done a really good job this game. He's not having luck, but at the same time, the chances are way too fast or way too many.
We saw Ovi get going in San Jose. Maybe does he get one in the third period?
Well, I hope everyone gets going in this period. It's going to be a tough one here. This crowd, of all the games this late week that we've had, this has been the best crowd of the week. These guys are in it. They're there to watch the Capitals as well.
Well, Tom Wilson right now, the only player to have a goal against the Seattle Kraken. Hopefully that changes here in the third period. We'll get you back to Joe Beninati and Craig Lockman.
They're saying, whoa, let's get off the ride, as the Kraken have a 4-1 advantage after 40 minutes of play. Caps fans, you can bring your family to one of the select Caps games and receive a free Chick-fil-A sandwich coupon. All tickets purchased through the offer link will come with a coupon for a free Chick-fil-A sandwich. You must purchase a minimum of 4 tickets to be eligible for the offer. Sandwiches are only redeemable at your local restaurants. To purchase those tickets, folks, washcaps.com/family packs. Joe Beninati and Craig Lockman with you between periods 2 and 3. Integrate Intermission Live. So, Locker, this is one of the few times this season where Washington hasn't been very good cover to cover. How much time, in what time frame do they need to be better in this third period to rally?
I think the first 5 minutes. I think when you break down the period in 5-minute segments, which they're going to have to do, but they've got to do something right off the bat. I think in the first 5 minutes will be a telltale sign of how this team's going to go. They are a proud group. They're going to rally in the locker room. They're going to say, let's have one big push to see if we can get a goal. And then it's 4-2, and maybe the Kraken, having lost 4 straight at home, will crack a little bit.
Other than the Wilson goal, there haven't been very many highlights for Washington. So when we get to our BMW Ultimate Moment, we show you a couple of goals. In fact, I think the last 2 from the Kraken.
As I'd like to say, the team is fatigué, and they couldn't get back here. Wilson can't catch up to Larson. Gord, a beautiful pass.
And then this would happen with Yarncroke.
Yeah, Cholowski's gets caught, goes down on his knee, then can't recover. And that play all establishes at the far blue line when Schwartz intercepted a D-to-D pass. Then he creates the line and the ability for Yarncroke to move laterally.
Those 2 goals about 7 minutes apart. Seattle 4-1 after 2. That was the BMW Ultimate Moment. Let's see how many moments we can make in the third with you after this. Georgia Capitals hockey tonight's being brought to you by Geico. Saving you money on car insurance has been in Geico's playbook for 85 years. Visit geico.com today to see all the ways you can save. By Mercedes-Benz of Arlington. And by Integrate. One team, one vision. That, what would you call it? Futuristic kind of Space Needle. Seattle, a city of about 750,000 people. Home to the NHL expansion Kraken, who have a 4-1 advantage over Washington. Before we start the third period, this one's been eating at me all day. I've seen this question all day long from PenFed. Who holds the record for most goals in a season by a player in an expansion team's first season?
Who do you got?
I had William Karlsson at 43.
Okay,
I
so
had
did I.
Jeff Sanderson. But when in doubt,
I think Reggie Leach.
When in doubt, go Wayne Gretzky. Damn it. I know who that is.
Wow.
I know who Blaine Stoughton is.
That was a toughie tonight.
56 is a big number. Welcome to the NHL Hartford Whalers. Hockey in a mall, Craig Laughlin.
Oh, yeah. I've been there a few times.
Remember playing those games?
Come right down from the room, rock to the rink, through the hallways for sure. Great steak place right below right next to the rink.
I was lucky enough to do my first NHL game with Ron Weber from that arena. The home of the Whale. No more brass bonanza. Washington trailing by 3, finishing up a 4-game road swing. This Capitals team that's acquitted itself so nicely of late. A team that's going great guns, winning 6 of the last 7. The only blemish, the overtime loss to Anaheim. A couple of goals from rookie Trevor Zegras, putting the Ducks in victory lane. Tonight, Seattle spotted Washington a 1-0 advantage. Tom Wilson was on the board as we have just crept past the 11 p.m. hour here in D.C. Joe and Craig with you from our Washington, D.C. studios.
And this is the push I wanted to see, and the top trio got out there, threw around their weight, stirred the pot just a little bit. Maybe that'll energize the rest of the club.
Larson's been up ice a lot. Adam Larson has a goal tonight.
Larson's the highest draft pick in their lineup. He was picked 4th overall back in the day by the Oilers.
Same draft, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins went number 1. Hagelin will reverse. Jensen picks it up. If you are just joining us tonight, you missed us mentioning TJ Oshie's return last night, but not playing this time around. First shot from Van Riemsdyk, shut down by Philip Grubauer, the former cap in goal tonight for the Kraken.
I have to correct myself. I think Larson was a New Jersey draft. And then
New Jersey's number 1, right, 4th pick overall.
Correct. Then he went for Taylor Hall from Edmonton, right?
That's correct.
Yes.
Nugent Hopkins and Landeskog were 1-2 in that draft. Soucy on the feed. Donskoy with a rip. That's off the crossbar. End to end, working back through center. Leeson didn't get it deep. Both teams in the midst of personnel changes. 2 minutes down in this 3rd period. Caps will make their way home, winging their way east tomorrow, getting set for Montreal on Wednesday, a game you can see with us on the network.
And Alan May said the Caps got to slow it down. There's a perfect example of how you can do it. Notice when they got control of the puck, they were stacked in the neutral zone. They were a 1-3-1 setup. They're hoping for some sort of turnover by the Seattle team here in the 3rd period.
Cholowski feeds for Kuznetsov. Grubauer goes Dominic Hasek to grab that with the glove, the blocker glove, that is. We heard the name there, Cholowski, Dennis Cholowski making his Caps debut once the Caps found out Connor Sherry could not play tonight.
Good shot there by TBR off the big blocking glove of the goaltender. At the other end, there's the crossbar from Donskoy. Looking to get his 2nd of the night. There it is through a maze. In front of the net is Tanev, taking the eyes away from Vitek Vanacek.
Alexei Protas will take this draw for Washington. Sprong and Hathaway flanking him. Alex Wenberg to draw for the Kraken. Seattle next up. They have Carolina here on Wednesday. Then we mentioned they have to get on the plane on Turkey Day and go all the way to Tampa. This is a rough part of their schedule, by the way, if you think about it. Eberle right on in, the feed. Eberle's looking for Marcus Johansson there. Alexiak towards the goal wide of Vanacek. And Seattle's playing Colorado, then Washington, then Carolina, then Tampa.
Wow.
Then Florida, I think, is on the other side of that too.
That's called the good luck trip.
And they've been in a bad way, right? As Ovechkin steams in, Ovechkin fires, score!
That's what the doctor ordered. They double shifted the OV line. They were out the first several shifts to start this period. I said in the first 5 minutes, they've got to have a push. Well, it's under 5 minutes, and they've got the push, and OV finishes it off, hits a glove of Gruby. He misses it. It ricochets off the tip of his glove, and Ovechkin on the board. Here in Seattle, his first visit with lots of fans in attendance, rips one home. It's 4-2.
This is game number 19 for the Capitals and their captain. Ovechkin has goals in 12 of those.
Yeah, 15 goals now, 30 points. I mean, look at that shot. I mean, a couple of goals last game, last night, now one tonight. It's amazing. Just keep shooting, big fella.
Washington 2 down to the Kraken. Hathaway, who has been an offensive threat on this trip in particular. Orlov's pass was a dangerous one. Watch out for Tanev. Tanev closing, drops it off there. Donskoy fires. Good glove save. And a critical time for Vanacek.
It sure was. That could have been game over right there if Vitek doesn't come up with that puck and is catching it. Right now, the Caps have a little bit of energy after that OV goal. And missed turnover there by Orlov. Real nice vision there, by the way, by Tanev. Following up. Wasn't even looking. Very good play by Tanev at full speed to drop the puck.
Dmitry Orlov, who hasn't made very many mistakes this season. He's been outstanding. Either telegraphed that pass or did not look when he was going from point to point. Tanev said, thanks very much. Let's create an odd man rush. Vanacek, though, snuffed it out. Shy of the 4-minute mark in this third period inside of Climate Pledge Arena. Locker told you the price tag for this baby, almost $1.2 billion. Donskoy there. Jensen marching out of his own zone. And through center. It's Dowd on the run. Double teamed and walled by Soucy. Ovechkin from Orlov and Wilson. Wilson has a multi-point game going. As Vanacek's going to squeeze down on this with Blackwell lurking.
Blackwell hasn't played a whole lot, but when he's been on the ice, he's been going concerned. Played under less than 7 minutes. But Vitek in the neutral zone. Here's Alex Ovechkin. You'll see his speed. He goes from 15 to 20 in a hurry. That buys him separation in time as he wheels away from Larson. And that wrist shot. We always know his shot is fast, but you also got to understand that it's heavy. Off the tip of the glove, beats Grubauer. It's 4-2.
Always interesting when we could drop in some NHL edge information. Distances traveled, miles an hour on shots and skaters. 4-2 for Seattle. Plenty of time for Washington against a team that is ranked dead last in goals against average this season.
And Ovi out just about 4 or 5 shifts already to start this period, being double and triple shifted on different line combinations to see if they can snipe one more here to get right back in the game.
Backhand chance, that's off of Vanacek. Schwartz, who has a multi-point game working. On around for Yanni Gourde. Schwartz hatchets this one wide of the goal. Larson stepping in, floats it through the goal mouth. We have a whistle here away from the play and an interference call to come.
And it could be Gourde going for knocking into the goaltender, and we'll see how they make this call. This would be huge if the Caps go to the power play. And there's the interference call.
Greg, we have seen already a couple times this season Washington be 3 goals down, rally back and get a point in games. They were 3 goals down at the start of this third.
And here he is running into the goaltender. He's going to say he had no time to stop, but he slid and he wiped out and he fell right on the goaltender. An immediate call by the referee. And now this is the ball game right here. The Caps must strike again. And then they're going to be on their heels the rest of the game.
Protas, Kuznetsov, Wilson, Ovechkin, Karlsson out there in white. Evgeny Kuznetsov fires, had that broken up off of Larson and out of play.
That's an excellent block there by Larson. Just taking that right off the foot. Ovi, they're trying to find every single pass.
Your thoughts on Protas replacing Sherry in this power play formation?
I like him if he can take away the eyes of Grubauer. Grubauer is not a big goalie. If he's going to work down low, get down low, but as soon as it goes low to high, Protas has got to use his big body in front of the net. Get some garbage goals. So this would be a huge goal for the kid if he can pound one home.
Protas is 6'6". Tonight's power play numbers powered by Hydro. Capitals get the draw. Karlsson walks it into formation. Ovechkin drifts it wide. He had Grubauer leaning. Kuznetsov feeds for Protas. 2-man game around Larson. Kuznetsov choosing Karlsson. Ovechkin waits, looking for the high tip. It came on through Wilson. Kuznetsov working further down the dasher. Karlsson straight away. Evgeny Kuznetsov forced by Donskoy. Karlsson has room, doesn't elect to shoot just yet. Kuznetsov feed, Protas inside. Wilson, great save. Grubauer timed it perfectly.
And what a beautiful passing play. The triangulation down low. Kuznetsov, Protas, Wilson. That's a 10-bell save. That could be the game save for Grubauer, or this game could be going the other direction for the Caps.
Halfway through the Washington power play, meandering in, it's Kuznetsov all the way to the end boards with Protas. Blackwell there, Carlson beat him to the punch. Seattle in the dark jerseys down a man for another 50 seconds. Vitek Vanacek sweeps this around for Alex Ovechkin, closing in on Dave Andreychuk for the all-time power play goal NHL lead. Wilson motors through center. Kuznetsov on the drop. There's Ovechkin. Place it along the backboards. McMichael chasing after Oleksiak, and Seattle gets it out. Tanev's behind the D. Tanev goes around the world with a backhand, stopped by Vanacek. Little 360 move from 13 in blue, bringing the fans out of their seats. McMichael on a send-in, throwing some snow now at Larson.
Very pretty, did Tanev. That's a nice spinorama. And I go back to the day, not as pretty as Savard.
Ovechkin fires, stick save Grubauer. He tried to beat him between the pads. Grubauer stopping his old friend and former captain Alex Ovechkin, and that nullifies the shorthanded situation. Gord on the feed, right up the gut. Another stop for Vanacek, this time on Lausanne. Great chances both ends. Goalies standing tall on NBC Sports Washington. I thought we were at a hockey game, Locker, and then all of a sudden we're in an aquarium?
Yeah.
They've got all their
Quite
bases
the building,
covered.
isn't it?
Isn't it? 4-2, Seattle on the lead as we get to the Toyota League leaderboard. These are the goal-scoring kings of the moment.
Yeah, Leon Draisaitl 3 better than Mangiapane and Ovi. Kreider also having a great year for the New York Rangers. For Alex Ovechkin here in this game, his 745th goal. He's now 21 goals away from tying Jaromir Jagr, 22 to go into third place by himself.
Alex getting that hockey stick some fresh tape as we move towards the 7-minute mark of this third period. Leeson's snapper right on. That's a routine save for Grubauer. Hagelin flooding this side. Move it back for a long wrister. Stopped by Grubauer again. That one off the stick of Jensen. We're 5-on-5. Eberle looking to get it out. Orlov had other ideas. Orlov waits before shooting. Slips it down low. Leeson hovering there on the boards, and it'll be Seattle's Eberle to get it to center. The quick in for Jensen as Hagelin races in there on the forecheck.
A little bit on their heels are the Kraken after that Ovi goal. The ice tilted a little bit, a few more mistakes here and there, and that's exactly what the Capitals want to establish in that first 5 minutes, and they did it. Now, that next goal, who's going to get it?
Seattle has not been playing like a team mired in a 6-game losing skid. Washington took the lead in this game. Seattle struck 4 in a row. Now the Ovechkin goal has made it 4-2. As this one's a pop fly to the corner. Johnson Fialbi sends it on back. Long wrister. Grubauer just does trap that to the side of his body.
Okay, we got your credit scores back and paperwork. And you know what time it is?
15:30.
No, it's great rate on a mortgage time. Didn't mean that literally, Captain Galvez.
PenFed has great rates, whether you're in uniform or not.
Our friends at Sport Radar reminding us that the Capitals are one of the league's best in terms of third period goal differential. Peter Laviolette's squad now is plus 13 in the final frame. They're trying to reel in the Seattle Kraken with 11:48 to go, and Garnet Hathaway stirring it up with McCann.
Yeah, gave him a good stiff. Right, I think it could have also been Giordano that he caught with a quick right hook. And nothing, no worse for wear, but saw Ovechkin go to the bench, still working on that stick. He was double shifted, didn't have time to complete it, so he went back to the bench on his time here on the bench to be able to finish his new twig. Had to use his old twig last time.
And you told me he blackens out the white tape with the
and
black
there he
friction
is.
tape.
He has the stick there. He's waiting, the trainer and the training staff waiting there. Serby waiting. Now this is his stick that he wanted that he couldn't finish, but because Lavi called his number, he jumped out with his stick that he didn't really want to use. He wants to use his new one.
Big fella up to 30 points already. 4 times in his career over 100. Sprong lets it go. Grubauer with another solid stop.
And things are opening up for the Washington Capitals. They've put them on their heels. Now they're saying, uh-oh, here we go. And that's a good lateral move and shot.
Blocker, why does that scissor action work on offensive draws?
Well, you're moving across, and it's hard to pick up now in this day and age. You can't hook the guy coming across, so if he does get the draw, he's able to move laterally because you can't hook or hold from behind.
Yeah, it's almost like a little pick play or a rub play
Correct.
in football. We are in a Sunday situation, aren't we? Sprong on the go, cuts back to the middle and fires! Grubauer made one of his best right there. That was labeled for the corner. Washington turning up the heat. Schultz pinned to the boards by Donskoy. 5-on-5 play here. Larson sends it down low. It rolls all the way for Justin Schultz. He'll lift it back onto the Seattle side of the table. Adam Larson, big fella from Sweden, plays it on through here. Comes all the way down. That's an icing call against the Kraken.
A little bit of booze happening in Seattle because of the way the Caps came out here in this third period. Grubauer's been the difference maker. Here's Spronger, nice move laterally. That is a thing of beauty, and what a stop. The stop might have been better than even the move. Hathaway takes the D, which opens up the lateral move, and there's some quickness of Groovy down low with that left pad.
Philip Grubauer will turn 30 on Thanksgiving Day in the week ahead. Has always been really solid on shots low to the ice. Powerful and reflexive. Grubauer listed right around 6'1". Ovechkin on the forecheck, hunting for a loose puck with Kuznetsov and Wilson now. 10.5 to go in the third period. Marcus Johansson, former Cap, rolls it around there to Yanni Gourde, the former Lightning. Tampa Bay lost its entire third line from its Stanley Cup championship team.
Gourde, Gaudreau, and Coleman were very good. That was a difference-making line, I think, for them to win back-to-back cups.
Centering pass collected by Wilson. He'll use the dasher to get it on down. Kuznetsov drags it ahead, tried to go one hand there. He's begging for a call. He's giving the referee some lip. Halfway through the third, Wenberg, 27-year-old Swede, on back for Larson, 2 years his senior. Larson lobs it ahead. Jensen sends it on around. Chipped on through center for Hathaway. Didn't get it smoothly there. Seattle dragging some time off the game clock. Tanev 2-on-2. Crisscross overlap with Wenberg. Poke check by Sprong.
Capitals out shooting the Seattle Kraken here in the third period, 12-5. Totally different than that second stanza.
Mason Appleton, the only name on the Seattle injured list of late. Washington with plenty more than that. Hathaway fires, broken up. Washington without Backstrom and Mantha, without Eller and Oshie, and without Sherry tonight. Tanev stung there.
Yeah, that was that slap shot from Hathaway, and that's why he was slow getting to the bench.
Yatsen Fialbi right to the glove of Grubauer. At this point in the game, he'll take no chances. Tanev in some agony at the bench. Seattle still in front. Locker 92-43.
This is our hope package, buddy, against the Sabres. Kuznetsov, nice backtracking and throws it down to Wilson, who beats Tokarski. Tonight, similar play behind the net where he works over the defenseman Lauzon. Right here, indirect, tries to go to his partner, ripped off by Kuzi. We're hoping for 3 in a row. And they're out here for this shift here in the third period. Maybe it's happening now.
Wilson with goals in 3 of his last 5. Kuznetsov set to take this draw. Linesman Ryan Galloway will get him in line. Washington wins it. Ovechkin with stick check though. Takeaway with speed. Gourde slicing between defenders. Sent it wide to Vanacek. 8 minutes and 45 seconds with which to work in period 3. Kraken will dump it in. Trevor Van Riemsdyk's seen some play at defense, seen some play at right wing tonight. Kuznetsov gliding after Larson, icing against Washington.
He's a disbeliever. He thought he beat Larson to that puck. Kuznetsov a ton of ice time along with Ovi and Carlson. They've really carried the weight in this hockey game. The end of the road trip. Here's Yanni Gourde Breakaway opportunity. Good back check by both TVR and his mate there. That all happened right off an offensive zone face-off. They sort of kabonged Alex Ovechkin, a good slash that sprung Gord up the ice.
For Gord, the first year he's ever worn an A for alternate captain on his sweater. Backhand chance. Vanacek snuffed that out. Schultz for Washington trickles it ahead. Eberle, who came into the game on fire, he had points in 7 straight. Eberle leaves it to Wenberg on the interchange. Ovechkin ready to put a bump on Larson, who is bracing himself for the hit. Van Riemsdyk forcing Eberle to the boards with 8:10 to go in the third. Wenberg dropping it off on the cycle. Kuznetsov protecting the puck with help from Van Riemsdyk. Washington's away. Ovechkin will pick up Wilson. 2-on-2 through center. Ovechkin feeds it on around. Protas for Wilson. Wilson sidestepping Larson. John Carlson to the cage, blocked off by Johansson. Lozon around the wall. Carlson's still there. This one's out of play for a whistle.
Faceoff will stay inside. John Carlson's alley-oop over the glass. There's Marcus against Alex Ovechkin. Alex Ovechkin, 7:45 tonight on a real nice wrister past the Kraken netminder Grubauer.
Ovechkin points in 15 of Washington's 19 games. Capitals 11-2-5, 27 points. Working against Dave Hackstall's Kraken, 4-12-1 entering play. Losers of 4 straight on home ice, dropping 6 straight overall before battling Washington. They fell behind early, they rallied. Now Washington is trying to make a spirited rally in the final frame. Farivari ahead. This will close a 4-game road swing for Washington. They're back home on Wednesday. We'll see you on NBC Sports Washington for the Caps and the Canadiens.
I will tell you this, they have not left a thing in the tank. The way the Caps have come out here in the third period, to a man, they've worked their butts off to try to salvage a point or 2 in this hockey game.
Let's see, Seattle has been mistake prone in its own end. They've had some nightmares in their defensive zone. Will they surrender a couple more to Washington before this one's through? Jensen working back behind the net, rubbed out along the boards. Donato was there. Sprong on the intercept for Washington. Donskoy didn't get it clear. Sprong feeds. Hathaway plays it on top for Jensen. Switch it for an Orlov try that sails way wide. Stepping out was Geeky in that shooting lane.
Yeah, he got a piece of that. That's why it went to the left of the goaltender, Grubauer.
Sprong accelerates on the attack with McMichael. Connor McMichael freight trained in the corner by Blackwell. Blackwell still muscling up now. As Orlov closes in and fires, that's blocked. Soucy went down.
That didn't miss by much. They were all worried about Wilson on Dunn in the corner. He ran over him, and that's why everybody was sort of stopping and allowed the Caps to get another scoring chance.
Johnson Fialbi to the corner. Gord the other way in transition. Blackwell needed a line change. Yanni Gord all by his lonesome drops it behind Vanacek. We have drifted underneath 6 minutes to go in the third. Turnover here, Yarncroke feed. Gord fanned on it, thank goodness. McMichael for Washington. On the move through center, 5-on-5 play continues.
You got to play with a little more risk, and that's what the Capitals will have to do here. Risk may get them that next goal here in this hockey game.
Seattle had a power play goal from McCann earlier tonight. They have PPGs in 4 straight. Washington's about to get an offensive zone draw. Climate Pledge Arena has been full throat, high decibel.
Yep, big hits too, right? Blackwell there on Michael. There's Tom Wilson's hit that the fans did not like. And that looked like Dunn took a heavy tumble after that Wilson hit into the corner.
Blackwell went right after his fellow number 43. This is icing against Seattle.
Another heavy hitting game. Last night the Capitals were very physical against the Sharks. Both teams were. And tonight no different.
TJ Oshie, who missed this game tonight, had 8 hits last night for Peter Laviolette. Garnet Hathaway with 9. Kuznetsov's going to try to win this for Ovechkin off the draw. Lift of the stick, there it is! Great glove save! Grubauer thwarting it.
Yeah, that's his second win in the face-off circle for Kuzi in the last minute or so. He won one at the other dot, and then Ovi got this one, and you should have seen the reaction of Kuzi when he didn't see the puck go in the net.
Come back for this one's conclusion in a moment.
Alex Ovechkin had it just before the break, and make sure you stay up with us. Capitals Post-Game Live is coming up immediately following this game. We're talking about the West Coast swing, also looking ahead at what the schedule looks like for the Capitals. But Alan, right now the Caps are battling in this.
They're pressuring in big time. 13 to 6-inch shots for the Caps right now here in the third period.
And just empty the tank. Everything at the net, bodies, sticks, gloves, everything. Get in Gruby's face.
Joe, back over to you.
Guys, if they get one or two or three for that matter, it'd be a much nicer plane ride home tomorrow. Caps will get back into town after this four-game West Coast road swing ends in the Pacific Northwest against the Seattle Kraken, a team that has been under siege lately, giving up a lot of goals. Right now, commands a 4-2 advantage over Washington. Carlson thunders one inside of the post. Rebound still there. Out of the pack. Fired by Farivari, broken up. A wild scramble in front of Grubauer, and the Kraken clear.
That might have hit both posts and out into the slot. What a slap shot and a nice setup off the draw.
5 minutes to go. Action-packed inside of Climate Pledge Arena. Carlson, a slap pass, trickles to the doorstep. Grubauer didn't get it in the glove. Kraken off the wall with Larson and out. All the way down, as this is icing against Seattle.
That's all they've been doing this period, is icing the puck, and Grubauer maybe playing his best period of hockey this season. Their center, Yarncroke, got thrown out. Gord has to take it, and there it is, post and across the paint. Didn't hit the other post, but just about knocked in by the goalie himself. The Caps did not get the break off the left pad of Grubauer because of the knuckle puck. Had it been clean off the post, the Caps would have had themselves their third goal.
Great look at the way that puck skipped in there on Grubauer and gave him fits. It was also hit around 100 miles an hour. Yanni Gord sends away Marcus Johansson one-on-one with Dmitry Orlov. 4:25 remaining in the third.
Probably about 3.5. You would have to think that the Caps will pull the netminder to see if they can strike for two times here in the third.
Capital shot counters up to 14 in this frame. A goal from Alex Ovechkin at 3:09, his 15th of the season, making things much more interesting. 4-2 for the Kraken. Hathaway plays it back to the point, gloved down by Schultz, but forced away by Donskoy. Good effort. Orlov crossing over through center. Caps completing a shift change. Carlson, who just rang the iron a few moments ago. Skip it through center and back into the Seattle end. Alexiak crossing over to play.
They need a couple of big shifts by the other guys other than Ovi and Kuznetsov and Wilson. This is a big shift right here, an important one.
McMichael going to the cage, just dribbles right to the glove of Grubauer. He'll hold.
There's that last little play once again. John Carlson, the bouncing biscuit off the post. It looked like off the knob and then doesn't go in. And Kuznetsov had a chance to slide it underneath the goaltender, but his blocker got in the way not once but twice. Ovi trying to backhand it on his butt. Can't put it underneath the goaltender. They've really got them really in a problem in their own zone. Every shift so important now. Lots of time left as the goaltender comes out for the Caps. Here it comes. The Caps throwing everything at him now.
Fabulous work from Grubauer, who's made unofficially 28 stops in this one. The Capitals lifting Vitek Vanacek, putting a sixth attacker on, getting set for this offensive zone draw. Carlson and Ovechkin looking for instructions from the bench. Dowd is out there. They would like him to take the draw, of course. Yarncroke prepared to take it. Wilson, Kuznetsov, Dowd, Protas. Ovechkin and Carlson, 6 out there in white for Washington. 3:34 left. Face-off control for the Caps. Kuznetsov spinning away off of
That's
Lauzon.
a hold.
Lauzon wrapped him up.
Yeah, and it's going to be a minor. For sure. Lauzon's been all over the score sheet. And the holding call. This baby isn't over. A long way from it. As Lozon goes to the box, lots of open ice now, 6-on-4 for the Caps to come back.
Seattle 55, minor penalty holding.
Dave Haxtell checking his notes as his team goes shorthanded.
That's an easy call. The right hand's in there, the left hand's wrapped around Kuzi, down he goes. The fan's not understanding of that call, but definite penalty. It doesn't matter what time of the game it's at. He goes to the box, and they'll put Vitek back in and just have a simple power play. Not allow them to pot shot and finish off the Caps here in this situation.
While you're shorthanded, of course,
Correct.
you can take the long-range shot without fear of icing. So they'll settle for the 5-on-4. These power play numbers powered by Hydro. Fourth advantage for Washington. The Caps clicked last night. Ovechkin scored on the power play, ending a 1-for-17 drought. Stepping in, Carlson bluffs it. Kuznetsov fires, eaten up there by the sliding Giordano. John Carlson keeps it on this side of the rink for Yevgeny Kuznetsov. To the front, Protas was stopped there. Grubauer waiting for that deflection. The Kraken clear.
Manny's good down low along the ice there. Did he ever push down his pad hard? Sealed it to the ice.
Yanni Gourde feeds. Shorthanded Kraken. Giordano snapped it wide as this bounces out of play with 2:55 left.
Wow, they had a great opportunity. Kudos to Evgeny Kuznetsov. Once again, I'm going to rave about him. I mean, he comes out there. He's won, I think, the last 3 or 4 draws. Just really working his butt off to win the pucks, and he has, which has led to the last 3 Capitals opportunity. It looks like a timeout going towards the Caps here. As Gord will look on, Vitek will probably come to the bench for instructions to see if they'll pull him or not.
Kuznetsov with points in 6 of 8 games. Blaine Forsythe, assistant coach for the Caps, will gather the guys around. Peter Laviolette, Kevin McCarthy, Scott Arneal, Blaine, Scott Murray, the goalie coach, Brett Lienhart, video coach. That brain trust for Washington as Forsythe gets a chance to diagram potentially a play to get Washington 1 goal closer.
I think he's looking at everything, a 5-on-4 setup or a 6-on-4 setup. So they have 2 different schemes that they're able to utilize. It looks like Vitek, he has to go back in the net, but he's been told when to come with the face-off in the Capitals' captain zone.
Alex Ovechkin, the 3rd leading point scorer in the NHL. Of course, one of the league's top guns. Chasing after Leon Draisaitl in the goal-scoring department some 6-7 weeks now into the season. 2:55 to go, and all of Climate Pledge Arena is out of their seats standing. They're up. A team that's won just 4 of its first 17 in this its expansion year. Caps, mission accomplished. They get control of the draw. They have possession of the puck now. 2:45 to go, 1:18 in the power play. Kuznetsov sifting through center. Evgeny Kuznetsov drives it right to the glove of Grubauer. He'll hold.
And that'll set it up with the goaltender, I'm sure, on the bench now with 2:37 to go. They're down by 2. There's Vitek. He smiles on the bench there by Orlov Baravari. There has been no quit for the guys on the road, and it has been one of the toughest road trips we've seen from the guys over the years. This one is one tough one to finish up tonight.
Seattle goalies with the worst 3rd period save percentage in the league, .827. Grubauer's been way better than that in this frame tonight, yielding the Ovechkin strike in this stanza. This bounces away from John Carlson. 2:25 to go, halfway through the power play. Carlson delays. Kuznetsov gaining ground. Yevgeny Kuznetsov wanders to the corner. Hooks away from Giordano. They bring it for Ovechkin. Carlson's wrister towards the goal, blocked. Wilson setting a screen. Protas and Dowd too. Wilson, nice work, nice effort along the boards. Cross rink, Ovechkin. Back through the seam. Wilson fires, pad save, Grubauer. Rebound, digging for it. It's beneath Grubauer for the whistle.
Even better than the chance. What about a glove play by Tom Wilson? That was a rocket ship pass, elevated at about 5 feet that he knocked down with his glove. Check out the left side of the screen. Look at Ovi. Taps it down, and that's an excellent shot. The puck off his hand drops nice and flat to his stick. It bounces a little bit, That is one heck of a save. I call that a 10-beller by Grubauer. Right to the right pad, and then a lot of men in front of the net trying to jam it home. Looking from above, everybody in the paint.
Philip Grubauer, who's lost his last 4 decisions, his 1-1 career against Washington. Grubauer, 7 years within the Caps organization. Look at the shots on goal in this period. Face-off win. Ovechkin thunders one that's blocked. It hit off of Donskoy and ricocheted out of play.
That's a block of the game. Talking about sacrificing, Ovi can't believe it. Usually his shots get through. It's bouncing just a little bit, but Donskoy right in the shooting lane, and that takes a lot of courage for a guy coming out with Alexander Ovechkin pounding the puck at over 100 miles an hour. That one might have been 2, the way he leaned into it.
That replay angle showing you Donskoy protecting his skates with his stick blade. Smart move on the block. 1:47 to go in the third. Alex Ovechkin getting downhill. Kuznetsov for Carlson. Power play time exists for 12 seconds. Booming drive wide. Ovechkin force-feeding the slot, blocked off by Grubauer.
Not once, but twice. That was great goaltending. If that puck comes to the middle, it's a goal.
Carlson fires. Stick save Grubauer again. Capitals tilting the ice in the third, trailing by 2. Snapshot. Stopped by Grubauer. Rebound. Another save. Grubauer, fantastic there. 1:15 to go. Net empty. Kraken back to full strength. Send it all the way down. This is icing against Seattle.
They've been looking for a game out of Grubauer like he's put forth here tonight. I mean, they got one past him early, but he has settled in and has played excellent. Probably his best game of the year. I mean, he has been strong with a lot of bodies in front of him and a lot of hacking and whacking. He has held down the fort for this Seattle team here in the third.
11 scoring chances for Washington in period 3. Save counter unofficially up to 33. It feels like 303 lately. 1:12 left. The end of a 4-game road swing for Washington. McMichael didn't get that draw. Susie bangs it off the boards. More slap shot work. Grubauer the save. Rebound sent right through the goal mouth. Ovechkin finding John Carlson, who's been out there forever in this third period. Carlson in the McNugget minute. Long drive, sizzled wide. That was Dmitry Orlov who sent it on the way. This will be captured by Carlson with 48 seconds to go and Seattle leading by 2.
Everybody changed except John Carlson from that last 2 or 3 minute shift. He's the only guy that remains.
Time's a-wasting now for Washington. Ovechkin fires. That goes wide. Rebounds loose. They look for it. It comes away, and Tanev speeds out. Empty net waiting for Yanni Gourde. Bang!
What an effort by the Washington Capitals, and what a home game for the Seattle Kraken. They're going to beat one of the best in the biz on their home ice, probably their best win of the season, after they had failed to win the previous 6. They're going to get the W tonight, but give kudos to the Caps. Love the character of this hockey team, like the never say die effort tonight at Climate Pledge Arena.
Time of the tally, 19:31.
I thought his save percentage was horrible. All of a sudden, Grubauer's save percentage is going to skyrocket.
He looked terrific. He looked the part of the Vezina Trophy finalist he was a season ago with Colorado. And he'll help backstop Seattle to a victory over his former mates in 15 seconds. They rise up as one at Climate Pledge Arena, this expansion franchise, as Vanacek will cover. Locker, listen to this. Since 1993-94, expansion teams, the first time they've ever seen Washington, are now going to be 6-2 in that first game.
I would never have known that, buddy. Wow.
The applause continues to rain down for Seattle, 5 seconds away from win number 5 on the year. 5 different goal scorers in this 5-2 outing. The Capitals 6-0-1 in their last 7. Taste a regulation defeat in the Pacific Northwest by the final of 5-2.
Yeah, It's their third loss in regulation overall. The Caps will go to 11-3-5, 6-2-2 on the road. What an effort, though. Hard fought. They need an important day off tomorrow when they fly home and get ready for the Montreal Canadiens come Wednesday.
Capitals filing for the exits. Fans doing likewise. Seattle a winner inside of Climate Pledge by the final of 5-2. It's time for our crossover. It is brought to you by WebEx, by Cisco. Alan May, you could tell, I'm sure, that the Caps were dragging in the first 40 minutes, but they showed some life big time. What was the key element in the third period for the rally?
Well, I just think it was exhaustion, to go into this game and into the first two periods, and it took them a while to get acclimated to the new surroundings. And in the third period, they kind of threw the game plan out the window and just started shooting the puck from everywhere, crashed in the net, playing a little grittier, cut the lines down, and just leaned on a few players. I really did like the effort. I think the final shots third period were 23-7.
It was a lot more than that. Or at least it felt like a lot more than that, Alan. Going back to how it kind of got rolling for the Capitals, I think it was that early start. Everyone was talking about it. If they get on the board, they're going to make Seattle kind of feel that pressure, and they did. Alex got on the board. It's a great goal. And then it was just Grubauer the rest of the way. He was just fantastic for the Kraken tonight.
The Capitals had the opportunities late, just couldn't get one by Grubauer, as you mentioned, was doing amazing late in the third period. We got Capitals post-game live coming up just after this. The Kraken proved to be too much tonight in Seattle, but you better believe we're talking about that third period fight from the Capitals tonight. And Vitek Vanacek returned to the net, playing against the team that took him in the expansion draft. We're going to talk about his performance. And after 4 games out west for the Capitals, they return home for 2. We're previewing the Canadiens and the Panthers. All of that is coming up just after this. Stay up with us.